This is a walk around of my ECOMRC LTR-14 Meteor. It's a 1930s era racing plane equipped with a 3W 150 engine and a Zor 28 by 12 three-blade prop that I custom painted to match the original propeller on the plane. The plane is pretty much stock. I've added a few scale extras that I'll get into here shortly. The graphics are all stock except for the Pesco graphic on the side of the plane. And as you can see, it's a fairly large plane. It's 95-inch wingspan. The fuselage, the cowl, is there's 14-inch diameter on the cowl. And I did upgrade the wheels from 4.5-inch to Dubrow 6-inch wheels, which look much better and fit the plane a lot better than the stock wheels. The plane has functional flaps. This is the left flap, currently set at about 20 degrees. And this is the right flap set at 40 degrees. The pilot is a modified Aces of Iron pilot that I added arms and legs to. And I also stuck a semi-scale looking cockpit panel in the front. The actual plane scale is not too accurate, but I just did the best that I could without doing too much work in the cockpit area. The graphics on the plane are all stock except for the Pesco graphic. This Pesco graphic I had made by Cal Graphics, and it looks very nice. But the stock graphics were actually not that bad. They were pretty high quality for the things that you see on most of the ARFs. These were very thin and easily worked with and didn't get any bubbles. I added a few scale touches that weren't on the ARF. One is this scoop on the front of the plane that is on the real aircraft. I made this out of a cut down piece of plastic toilet plumbing. And then I also, where are they? And then I also made the two scoops that you see here on up above and below the leading edge of the wing. A few scale touches besides the scoop. As you can see here, I've added panel lines and rivets in some of the strategic places on the plane, as close as I could match them to the real Meteor. I had trouble getting the cowl to fit without hacking it all up, but on the real Meteor there's a plate, an aluminum plate at the bottom of the cowl, and it worked out great. So I cut holes big enough to get everything mounted, and then when I got everything square and in the right place, I fabricated this plate that sticks to the bottom of the cowl and covers up the big holes I made until I got everything trimmed. The 3W150 engine does fit nicely inside the cowl. I mean, at 14 inches you have plenty of room. I do have to take one spark plug cap off in order to get the cowl off in order to work on the engine, but I'll show you inside pictures of it shortly. One other nice feature is the rudder. It has its pluses and minuses. It's terribly out of scale, but the tail wheel is. But the rudder has no pull external wires showing. The rod that holds the tail wheel runs up through the bottom of the fuselage and sticks into the rudder to control the rudder. So it's very clean installation and it looks nice. I made the rudder removable I made the rudder removable, so if I ever decide to build a more scale tail wheel, that I'll be able to replace the rod without having to do too much cutting and construction on the rudder. The only plug-in or socket or switch external on the fuselage on this plane is this little SmartFly failsafe switch mounted behind the trailing edge of the left wing. All of the fueling hoses and everything are hidden so that you can't see them. They're either inside the hatch, or as you can see here, my smoke and fueling lines are hidden inside the cowling on the left and right side. The hatch on this plane is huge like everything else, and the internal area is large enough to let you be able to do anything you really want. I have two 32-ounce Sullivan tanks mounted underneath my SmartFly Power Extender Pro that also holds a receiver. And I don't think you know if you can see it or not, but down below the tanks is where the Sullivan Skyrider smoke pump is mounted. Because the 3W engine was so heavy, I had a CG problem, so I had to mount all my batteries here at the rear of the hatch area. The ignition battery is mounted down at the bottom of the area, and then you can see the two receiver batteries mounted just forward of the cockpit. As you also see, I have a SmartFly optical kill switch mounted on the right side of the interior fuselage. And this neat little gadget right here I got from Tail Dragger RC. The plane comes with a 6mm hex head bolt to hold the wing on, but Tail Dragger sells this little 6mm stud with this rubber bushing wing nut that really makes putting the wings on and off an easy job. One other feature I changed, I encapsulated the aluminum landing gear with 1/8" balsa on the inside and outside, and used half round stock on the leading and trailing edges to bulk up the landing gear a little bit, make it look just a little bit more scale. And I still have to test fly the plane to see if they're going to stay on. It's kind of a work in progress. The plane comes with dual fiber control horns that are actually pretty high quality. On the other hand, the push rods are just the typical cheap steel push rods. I replaced them with Pro Links, which make it a lot easier to adjust the plane, look a lot better, and actually they're a lot stronger. This gives you a better look at the wing retention nut I was talking about. You get this nice wing nut with a rubber backing and a 6mm stud. And if I wasn't trying to do this left-handed, it would go right on. It takes all of about 2 minutes to put the wing on. One other thing I wanted to show you, I had to cut no exit holes for hot air for the 3W150. This plane has about a 1-inch exhaust gap all the way around the cowl. So there's plenty of exit space for the hot air to get out of the engine without cutting any holes in the bottom of the cowl, which is kind of a neat feature. So this is the installation of my 3W150 in the Meteor. It fit fairly well. I didn't have to make a lot of modifications at all. It couldn't have been any bigger, but it did fit. And from here you can see the front of the two 32-ounce smoke and fuel tanks. And you can see the blue and yellow fueling hoses that I have hidden inside the cowl. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but on this particular old 3W150 that I have, I'm running 2 ignitions. Not on purpose, but it's because of what I had. And if you can look down in the bottom carefully, you can see the choke and throttle servo mounted. And if I go around here, and you can see them on the bottom of the engine box. This is a good look at the plane from the front and top. The plane's actually really sleek, and I'm just dying to see how fast this thing really is with this 3W150.